You know, when you're growing up, you really don't pay attention to the effect that your surroundings have on you. I grew up, you know, right here in this area, you know, right by this creek, right by this railroad. All my first memories were made up and down this creek and this railroad. Church was a big part of my life growing up. You know, it was where I kind of got my musical start. You know, my grandfather was very influential in my musical journey as a kid. You know, he would sit around and play old Johnny Cash songs and CCR, and he was a bluegrass musician. His name was Jack Robertson, real tall, handsome man. But he taught me my first song on guitar, which was Dang Me by Roger Miller. And you know, my dad was influential in my musical journey as well. You know, he introduced me to my favorite band of all time, CCR. I still claim that. But yeah, you know, we got our start here. We were as much into skating as music at the time. You know, that's how Ryan and I met. We had like a group of friends, and we would all skate here. And you know, there was this gap. They would let us like keep all of our stuff around the corner in like a little cubby. I was here one day and I was skating with everybody. I had been trying to do 360 flips all day. I was trying to learn those, and I stuck at bolts, and I caught it last try, you know, and board shoots out. I go up in the air, fall, break my arm in two places, and it was like that kind of changed the trajectory of, you know, what I was doing at the time. You know, I was really into skateboarding and kind of into music, but then it really pushed me into music once I did that. And it's like once, you know, I really kind of like gave over to it, there wasn't any going back. You know, obviously, here we are. Ryan, Bradley, and I started a new band, and we went to play a show in Lynchburg. It just changed our lives, you know, just like, you know, when the pit opened up and everybody started dancing, it was just like a life-altering moment. You know, it was like you experienced something like that. It sticks with you. So we came home and we formed RLP. That's when heavy music really started to, you know, thrive in this area. There wasn't a lot of places for people our age at the time to play shows because we were into stuff that a lot of the older folks didn't really want to hear at the time. And my brother convinced our local Y to let us start having shows. And man, I'll never forget that first night. I walk in, man, and it's packed. You know, 300 kids plus. It's just like, it was like, they were just waiting for something to do like that. That was kind of the start to Red Letter's career. So we were like, all right, let's do this, guys. Let's tour. You know, we were young guys trying to make it work. Some people wanted to go to college, some people didn't. You know, some people wanted to do music. At that point, you know, lives diverge and they go different directions.
So pretty much Billy and Bradley's story, you know, is my story up until the North Carolina attempt where you know, we all moved to Greensboro, I guess, in an attempt to find a scene or a niche in the scene. It worked for a little while, and then I think the guys felt led to move back to Virginia, and I felt a different sort of different calling, and so I stayed in North Carolina. It wasn't immediately clear to me that would mean a break from music necessarily, but I was open to kind of whatever was going to come out of that. So I guess this was probably early '08, and you know the financial crisis was unfolding, and it was, you know, given my age at the time, it was a bit earth-shattering to me as well. Although I didn't really have a lot at stake in terms of personal losses, I saw family lose a lot, I saw friends lose a lot, and as a result, I think that I wanted to take that opportunity to refocus on my education. So that's what I did. I went back to school. And at this point in time, I had quit the band. you know, it wasn't going to work. The distance wasn't going to work, and I wasn't ready to move back to Virginia. Ultimately, I did move back to Virginia. It was important for me to set goals and then to reach them, and then to kind of set new goals and to push beyond that, knowing that one day maybe the door would open to play music again. The enjoyment I get out of music is collaborating with my friends. And so really coming back to music was really a perfect timing. I wrapped up what I wanted to do with school, felt like my career and my family were at a good spot, and that I had the free time again to spend on those pursuits. So Pathway came along, or I guess at first it was Antecedents that came along. So Billy called me up and mentioned that the Antecedents had gone through some difficult changes and some member changes, and asked if I wanted to play bass. And so it seemed like the time was right, and so I stepped into that role, and you know, we got to play a handful of shows with that Antecedents lineup before that project you know, wrapped, and we transitioned to Pathway. And so that's been a ride so far.
Although Ryan maybe wasn't always in the band, he was always doing something with the band, you know.
When the time would allow.
Yeah, when
there's an opportunity to step in and to join a show or contribute to a recording. Those opportunities were sprinkled throughout sort of the time that we had to take apart, but there were times for collaboration and you know, reunion, and those were always very special.
The thing about it is, you could talk to two different musicians about how music affects them, and you'll get two completely different answers. Kind of like the roads that Ryan and I took in our musical journeys. I don't know, man. There's like a chemistry that you form between people over time, and I don't have to say a word. You know, it's like some people I play with, and Ryan's one of those ones I play with, and it goes without saying.
Kind of start playing off of each other, you know, almost in the same concept of finishing one sentence. You can kind of hear the idea of the song when you hear the beginning of it, and you know, a lot of times I'll have ideas just from sort of the foundation of a tune that he shares, and you know, you kind of know the directions that it's going to take, but then you sprinkle in your influences here and there, and you usually walk away with something really special.
I think the ultimate foundation to the songs being good or being heartfelt is the chemistry between the musicians, and I couldn't ask to play with anyone else than I do in Pathway.
I hit it though.
You did.
Did you hear Grayson? He's like, that's awesome.